All right, guys, we are back. It's part two with Jeremiah Broska. We're gonna go over that one more time. From Artistic Finishes, we're about to start answering a question about wall prep for Venetian plaster. I'm gonna bring him back on, and we'll just. I love this stuff. This is way over my head. All right, wall prep. Continue on the wall prep for Venetian plaster.
I still can't believe this many people are like have nothing better to do on a Sunday night. Crazy, man. 14 sad souls, 22. No, okay. So wall prep for Venetian plaster. I mean, man, if you want it to be a smooth run, you know, there's so many. I mean, I could answer this, and then there would be 10 plaster artisans around the United States that say that I'm wrong, and that there's, you know, their way is the way to do it. This product is the only way to go. So I can't say that there's only one way to prep the wall. For me personally, I've learned that this guy Limestrong knows a lot about this kind of. I'm afraid to say the wrong thing because I got him watching now, and it's like he's a plaster guru. So I would say the important issues there are adhesion. So they make adhesion, flashing, and smoothness of the wall. So any poorly drywalled areas that the joints aren't properly done, that's going to telegraph through your finish. You're going to have a freaking seam that goes across your 4 coats later. It doesn't matter how many coats you do. Once you start with the Venetian, it's hard to get it to go away, right? So you're better off skimming your wall, doing a level 5 with thank you. Be confident gives us your perspective. You're like Superman.
He's talking to another vet of
those guns.
Media. Nick and I both have gotten very confident just talking in front of cameras.
He did this too?
He did. Yeah, he's been on. He does a weekly show on Facebook as well called Ask a Painter.
Oh,
very knowledgeable guy.
Yeah, I think I might start doing this, man. I feel like it'll help me a little bit, you know, to talk about it more.
At least start with doing stories on Instagram. I do a story just about every day, walking around, show my face.
I do that, but I see what you mean. More of a
put your face on there. Talk to the camera. Even if you have to delete the first 30 of them, eventually I don't even go back and watch them. I just post them because, you know, you get used to it. But in the beginning, I analyzed every word, and I'd slip up and I'd delete. And now it's just like, good morning, IG. Here's what we're doing.
Yeah. No, I think I could do that. I mean, I don't really like care about judgment as much as like I used to. So I'm not very self-conscious about it. It's not about me. It's about my life is about creating beautiful things for the world and people to enjoy. So it's not, I'm just like I said, a vehicle for that, a conduit for that. I do have an identity as a person. I'm more concerned about my business, the identity and the existence of my business and all the good that it can do for even just my 5 employees, what it can offer them for their lifetime. So I'll embarrass myself here and there if I have to for the better of all of it.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to say the wrong thing, but I would say if I'm going to do a Venetian job tomorrow, the biggest things I'm going to make sure that are right is that it's taped properly, that it's 1/8 of an inch off of the, if you have the wall here in the baseboard, I like to back it off about 1/8 of an inch off of the wall. Make sure you've never got tape on the surface that you're trying to paint. I mean, that's a no-brainer, but like, that's where I'll say to people, who taped this? Well, I did it. I'm like, dude, it's not hard. You got to be just a little bit smarter than the baseboard, a little bit smarter than the wall when you're taping, you know, just a little smarter. It sounds like an asshole thing to say, but it
does.
Yeah. I will make sure, first of all, that all that's taped off properly, that the wall's been properly primed. Laser Kath, what's up? She just ordered some liquid metal for me today. She's going to be another fellow metal person. So, yeah, and I want to make sure it's a level 5 finish. I don't want to screw around with 1 once again, there are plaster companies that do all that stuff themselves. I spec it into my projects. I look at it like I'm the makeup. I make drywall look like something else. You know, I make it look pretty. I'm like the last person in kind of thing. If I can defer the prep to another company that's going to do it well, I would rather do that. I tell my clients, would you rather pay me to be priming and drywalling or pay me to be doing metal or plaster or the things that other people, not so many people can do, right?
Totally.
There's 200 people in my town that could do that drywall finish, and there's only like maybe nobody that can do some of the finishes that I do. So I try to defer all other work unless it's terrible and I walk on the job and I'm like, this just, and the nail pop thing, like for example, I got to get better at that, you know, not just jumping to it, get better at prep, you know? So
that's a big thing that we talk about a lot is,
well,
that's a big thing we talk about a lot on here and in my company is slowing down to go forward. Don't just show up and start moving, but stop, make a plan, inspect everything, like slow down a little bit. Cause like they say, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Right.
Yeah.
And it's those mistakes that you make that will inform your next time around. And if you're any good at this, you'll get better each time.
Right. Yep.
That's awesome. We've done we did some of that priming for do you know Iris Marcus? She's like a legend in Boston in the Venetian plaster world.
Really? No.
She's unbelievable. Actually, I think this old house just did a thing on her. I saw.
This guy's funny, Philip. Pushing on the entire wall will pop any that aren't set right. He's a trip. Okay.
Yeah, it's those little things where, you know.
Is he serious? So he's saying walk in there and push on that damn wall and get the nails to pop.
If they're going to, that's probably not a bad idea. Because if they're going to happen, you want to get them before you put your expensive finish on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like nail pop,
they're going to be like, who the F is this guy coming here?
But those are the things that make us professionals. Like we do crazy stuff to get the level of finish that we're going for.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're going to set the standards high, it's time to think outside the box a little bit. So, you know, if it requires pushing on the walls to make sure there's no nail pops, you know, because look, what'd you have to spend to fix that job? Like that sucks. You know, you learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Do what you got to do.
How'd you get into liquid metal to start with?
I just saw some people that I followed started to mess around with it over in Italy. So I tried Nova Colors Metallifuso first. And I liked it. I still like it. Just there's only 4 colors, and it's technically sprayable, but not really designed to be sprayed. It's a water-based. So I did a lot of, you know, kind of troweling stuff and everything like that. But it just really fascinates me, the idea that I can take and I can turn your door into gold, you know, or brass or whatever. It fascinates me. I'm just fascinated by the idea. It's empowering. It's fascinating. As a drywall prepper for a Venetian, how do we prevent mass blistering? Oh my God, we just went through this job. I mean, there's freaking blisters everywhere. I believe that happens when somehow the boards get a little bit crushed and the gypsum, the hard gypsum or whatever it is in the board crumbles out. So you'll have voids in the plaster. I mean, I've been told you got to cut them out. I mean, we've literally base coated this job we just did up in Cincinnati. Like I said, this is over a 6-figure job, you know, bigger than that even. 25,000 square feet in all. And we had a lot of areas that blistered on us. It was because sometimes the edges of the drywall boards would get slammed together and then the mud falls out. When you go to tape the joint, now you've got nothing behind it. You know, you're just taping over something that's flimsy. And like, if you don't cut those edges and pack that full of mud and then mesh it, you know, when you damage the boards, fix your damaged boards is what I would say. Make sure you've got solid plaster, get enough mud behind the tape. Exactly. I mean, just fix it. If it's damaged, cut it. I mean, it's pretty simple, you know, have integrity, you know, go the extra mile. Don't screw your buddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got screwed pretty hard on that job. We had the master bedroom ceiling that was also getting lime plaster. I would say it was over 25 by 25. It was over 500 square foot ceiling. We had already done a base coat of plaster, and on the second coat, I'm talking like a $3,000 ceiling, okay? It starts blistering. We're almost done. And it blistered, and we had to cut it out and redo the whole ceiling. You know, start over. Just from one blister. Broad board damage is this thing that will fail first. This guy, Philip, he knows it. I mean, he's got an answer for everything. I mean, he seems like he's a Johnny on the spot.
He's a rock star. Yeah,
is he?
He's a great
How
follow.
much is he paying you, Philip? I'll double it. You want to come work in Florida? It's warm down here.
I don't know about that.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, so I mean, I think kind of what you're saying is the same thing with us. When the stakes are as high as they are in what we do, when you have the high stakes, it makes sense to spend the time making sure that you've covered all your bases and being extremely thorough. Where if they were going to put flat $20 a gallon paint on that wall, you don't really have to be very vigilant with how you hang your drywall that way.
Right.
But if you're going to put a high level finish on, take the time to make sure that it's done right, because the stakes are too high to take those kinds of gambles.
So I'm almost considering, from all the things I've been through as of lately, I'm considering putting a clause in my contract where, you know, the day we show up, because I do a lot of out-of-town jobs. I'd say 50% of my jobs are on the road. So I don't get to go and inspect the quality of these walls very often. So I'm going to have to start, you know, either trying to do it digitally, like through a phone call, or flying out there, driving out there just to do an inspection prior, maybe a couple weeks before we start. But I would like to have the option maybe to skim the walls out myself if I have to, and to be paid for that. I've almost considered like having a whole nother team that just does preparation, man, for walls. Seriously, it's that bad. I mean, it's gotten,
or at least a contingency budget that will cover, you know, whatever those things are.
Yeah, most clients are pretty good about that. When they get on the high end, they know, you know, they're bringing somebody in that's going to, deliver a very high quality product. And a reasonable client will pretty much do anything they can in their power to make sure that happens. So I've been lucky with some and unfortunate with others. It's definitely one of the biggest issues that can really hurt a company that does finishes like ours. So you got to be vigilant, you know, and unforgiving when it comes to the wall preparation.
So how do clients find you? Do you work with like the same designers over and over again? Where does most of your work come from?
I have a few designers that I work with. I don't feel like I'm getting as much work from designers as I used to, because the clients are finding me directly now, which, you know, that used to be the primary source of my work, was interior designers. And I don't work very well with them, to be honest. I mean, I can, and I have a few that I really like to work with, but I just don't feel that they're always necessary for me to pick a white plaster with a client, or I like to work along with what they're doing, but there's only a handful of them that I would like really trust to run my vision or my operation for what we're doing. So I would rather be autonomous, to be completely honest, and I would rather be the designer I am a designer myself. So I like to design my finishes, and really I'll say no to stuff if I don't feel like it fits my portfolio and the direction that I'm going with my company. I'm branding myself and my company to have a certain look. So it has to coincide with the style that I do in order for me to vibe with it. So
that's fascinating.
I'll turn it down all day long if it's not. I don't do it just for the money, you know. I'm doing it for my style. I'm being true to myself, you know.
Yeah, I think that's where we differ in my company. Like, I love designers. I love making their visions come to fruition. But I wouldn't call myself an artist. You know, we are technicians. We are customer service people. We give a great experience, but we don't come up like I don't like to own the vision of a project because that's just not my background. I'm not an artist, and I don't want to have the color not be right and the client blame me. I love working with good designers because they have the experience to be able to say, you know, here, this goes with this. And like I see designers, good ones, making bolder decisions than my client and I would ever make together.
Yeah.
And I love that. So that's interesting to hear you say that, because I don't know what I'd do without designers.
I'm not saying I don't like them or I won't work with them, but I would rather push them out of the way and deal directly with the client themselves, a competent client. Now, we work in different regions. We work with different people. We've had different paths, so it's different for everybody else. I feel like, you know, I like to be autonomous and be able to not be handcuffed with the creativity of what I'm doing. I mean, if you look at my Instagram page and you look at ours, you know, yours, we're doing entirely different work. I'm doing wacky stuff that, you know, only people in Italy are doing, you know, like stuff like that. So it's a hard sell to designers. A lot of them are afraid to do my stuff, you know. They just don't, they love it. They absolutely love it, but that's all I get. I love it, but, you know, but the clients, you know, they find us because of you know, we have a decent social media presence, and I get phone calls and emails every single day for new jobs. Thank God. I mean, thank God, you know, there is my buddy right there. This guy, we're meeting tomorrow, Art Rab Studio, Artem Rabokin. He is a liquid metal expert. I'm telling you, this guy, dude, if you look at his page, you're going to be blown away. Absolutely blown away. I bought a SATA gun. It's an automotive spray gun. They're like $1,000. I bought one of those. I bought a polisher. I got all this stuff ready for tomorrow. We're going to spray some samples together tomorrow. He drove up to Jacksonville from Miami to be with Artistic Finishes tomorrow, and he's going to be our next collaboration. He's huge. You need to check him out when it's over with. But it's all about learning from different artists, and for me, I have a path that you're kind of doing your thing where you're getting better at what you're doing every day, and I think that you're kind of honed in on that. I don't want to be doing what I was doing yesterday. I don't want to be doing what I was doing last year. I'm just a little bit different in that regard. I don't think I've fully settled in to where I'm going to be happy at. Like what existence, Artistic Finish is still trying to find that.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw our testing, but this week we're about to spray a big bronze wall.
I saw that.
That's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited. We've invested a lot into the metals, and we've been working pretty hard at getting them down. And we have a few jobs now, and I'm pretty excited to see where that goes, because I do, like you, I don't want to do just basic repaints because that's a very competitive market and it's commoditized at this point. We are doing work where, you know, we don't want to be a commodity. We don't want to be hired based off of price. We want to do something that's special and that you can't just go replace us tomorrow with somebody else.
Right.
for a number of reasons. Financially, it's a huge piece. You know, I don't want to get grinded on price, but also I want to sit back and go, I did that. And my team is a bunch of people who want to go, I did that. And that's a really, really important piece.
Commoditized. Well said.
That's my boy, Nick. Yeah, I mean, there's different ways you can run a company. And we're in a market where I'm at that there is a high-end, or what I would call an ultra high-end market of people who want really nice, really unique things and have a budget to do it.
Yeah.
So I've tailored my company toward giving those people what is possible, showing them what's possible. You know, and I think some of what you're doing, like we do some of that stuff. I try to keep my creative, like I try to let the creatives do the creative. I would not claim to be an artist. Although some people might say that what we do is art. It's more technical. I'm a coatings application expert. And I know how coatings work and I can apply coatings, but I love when the designer's like, you know what? I want this look. Can you make this happen? And then it's like, yeah, I can reverse engineer what you want and give it to you.
Yeah.
That's what drives me.
Awesome.
But that wall that you guys just did with the that's Venetian plaster and metal with the bamboo and all that. That thing's badass. But that's definitely not the kind of stuff that we're doing, and I don't want to do that stuff. That's not my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I know to stay in my lane.
Not everybody could pull that off.
Yeah.
You know, I hand cut all those stencils, you know, and I spent 50 hours on one wall. And that wasn't about the money. I pretty much gave that wall away. Power Custom Finishes. What's up, buddy? How are all these people finding me? They know that I'm on here?
It's popping up. When you go live, it takes precedence on the story line at the top.
Oh yeah, that happens to me all the time, and I'm like, who cares?
That's how I feel.
Going live. Who cares? And then once in a while, it's like, oh crap, they're going live. Anyways.
Yeah, that's the hard part of this is keeping people's attention. But I think we're doing a good job.
I mean, people can ask questions. What do you guys want to know?
Yeah, that's key. Let's ask more questions.
I will give my secrets away just this one time. So I'll tell you, I'll talk a little bit about lime wash. And
yeah.
So people ask me all the time. I do lime wash too, a lot of lime wash. And I use a product called Roma Bio. They're out of Atlanta. It's a great product. They make good plasters too. But I do that kind of, we'll paint it solid, and then we'll wear the brick away. Look at you. You're getting tired.
No, just dry contacts, not tired. You're
losing interest.
I just can't stare at a screen for 2 hours without getting dry contacts.
There's a DIY market that insists on being able to do the same quality of what somebody like me has devoted their life, their whole, every fiber of my being I have given to, to this decorative painting world to do with me what it will, and to have you guys done Tatalact. I don't know if he's asking me or you.
No, you. He's not asking me.
I think I haven't done Tatalact before.
I've not done any plaster work.
No, I haven't.
Although a designer that we're doing the metal for right now did just show me a bunch of lime plaster samples, and she wants us to start doing some of those. She wants to do some cabinets and a bunch of different things. And I was like, bring it on. Like, you tell me what you want, and I'll get you that.
Well, cabinets with what? Tatalact on them?
No, some sort of, I think she was talking about doing cabinets with a lime wash, a lime paint of some sort.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, Kathy said we're experienced painters doing our first mineral finishes. No, I've got Tatalact, and I plan on implementing that. And once I kind of figure it out and consider myself to have, I'm not going to say mastered, because I don't think anybody's ever going to master any product ever, because you're always going to have, the product's always going to beat you to an extent. You can do the best you can, but I've never looked at anything that I've done and been completely, entirely satisfied with it. I'm still pursuing that.
That's the mark of a good craftsperson.
I've never really been satisfied with fully 100% with anything I've ever done. I'm proud of some of the stuff. You can do a Tadillac vanity. They look super dope. That's
what
how
is
they talk.
Tadillac?
Tadillac is a Moroccan plaster that you can waterproof. It goes in like showers and
Oh yeah.
micro cement is another one that you can do. Tadillac looks a little bit, it's a lifestyle. Also lime wash for new Doug Fit beams. Yeah, so this whole mineral coatings world, man, it's like lime wash, plasters. A lot of people like are all about it. You know, there's zero VOCs, low to zero. They're earth friendly. Tadillac, I think, has lime in it. Never satisfied. Pretty sure it drives the crew crazy. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'll walk in and go, there's like a million good things to look at, and I'll go, who did that?
I know, it's
right there.
I work really hard at that because
Who
it's
did that?
bad
Right
management.
What is this? You know, and it's like, did you exceed the client's expectations? Be careful not to martyr yourself for the craft.
That's Nick right there. That's the name of the game. And that,
I mean, no, I don't.
learn.
It doesn't like. I'm proud of what I've done, but what I'm saying is, I'm not there yet. I'm not resting on my laurels. I am an ascending star, is the way I look at it. I'm in my prime, and I'm going up, and I'm going to keep going up. And if people want to come with me, they can. You know, if people want to learn alongside me, they can. There are people that I look up to, and I'm chasing after them because I want to learn from them. Like the guy Artem, who came on here. This guy drove up here from Miami to come. We were meant to meet each other. I know it. Just like my buddy Brian in Charleston, he has a CNC machine. We're going to start doing 3D stuff.
I saw that.
You saw that post?
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a sweet look.
Super dope stuff. So
I love the idea of taking the metal. I did a metal river table.
I saw that.
Which, like, it's sitting here in my living room.
Terrible.
Huh?
I'm just kidding. I loved it.
Yeah, it was the first shot. I learned a lot. But
you are an artist. So you don't call yourself an artist, but someone that's not an artist could not have created that.
Yeah, and I know. So, I just don't. I'm not trying to make a living being an artist more. Maybe I did enjoy it. I enjoyed that idea, and then I loved it, like the juxtaposition of a metal and like a wood with the natural like curvatures of the outside of the wood.
Yeah,
where you can get like metal, organically looking metal, which, you know, they're kind of oxymorons. And so that idea that you can take now metal and make it fit any form where it's curved and organic looking is, I think that's what's so special about this cold metal, is you're not just doing like straight flat things. It's organic and can move now. And, you know, that really excites me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think it's the coding of the future. Todd Birdwell is a killer artist. I know him. He's in Amelia Island, Fernandina area. I've done houses. He was on the house. He was doing the kind of more of the regular painting at one of the houses that I did in Amelia Island. Maybe that is him saying that as a joke, like he's kidding. I don't know. But
I saw his art he did.
Huh?
Can you burn through it? Oh yeah, you can burn through it.
Oh my God, that's the worst. So
that's the worst.
Yeah, you can spend an hour spraying something, and you can spend 80 hours polishing it. And I'm going to say that again. 1 hour to spray, 80 hours to polish, and to sand and polish properly. I do 240 grit, then 320 or 400, 500 grit, 800 or 1,000. You can skip, if you want a true high gloss, you'll do 800, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 8,000. If you really want to do all that. And then you get the jeweler's rouge. You have to sand that many times and not sand through an edge. So the key is to stay away from the edge with the power sanders. Do the edges by hand, or steel wool, but mostly do the edges by hand. Don't take your Festool all the way up and roll around anywhere near that edge. That's your edge. You want to stop right here. And I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. But the nice thing about
I'm in my garage burning through on purpose.
And we got that big wall to spray, and it's like we're gonna mix up $1,100 worth of product and spray it. If you mess up, you gotta make $1,100 worth of product and spray it again.
Hey,
the stakes are high.
Triple coat the edges. Look at Slater over here; he's an expert already.
Well, the problem with the metal is it shows through, right? If you burn through, if you do a coat of metal and you do another coat of metal, that doesn't help, because if you burn through the first coat, it'll flash.
So Slater, what he's saying is, if you do the coats of metal, for some reason they oxidize differently. Okay, and if you sand through the edge, I mean, it's better than having bare wood or bare MDF or bare primer showing, but it's still going to be visible that you sanded through that top coating, because I don't care, every time it doesn't fail, it shows like it's another layer. It's like it's burned through the skin, even if it's the
blushes,
same metal,
and it just looks, no matter what, you burn through it.
Yeah, you can take 4,000 grit and do it by hand. You see the layers. I agree. Yeah. So I did that silver hood that I just did recently that had a barrel to it, and it was freaking 80 hours of polishing, man. And I burned through in a couple areas, and you can't tell because I did double coat it, but you could tell if you inspected it closely. You could tell, like, but I had to kind of pull that off like it was intentional. The liquid metal, I love it. I'm still learning. I think that polishing is where the talent lies. How far does it go? I agree with Slater.
I forget the coverage.
You should get Slater on here too. He knows he'd be a good candidate for this. He has a lot to say. I mean, you can see that.
I'll send you a DM. Absolutely.
He's a good guy. He's getting metal from me right now. He bought a little bit of metal from us, and he's getting his. So how far does it go? Can you block it? Can you block it? What does that mean? Block sander?
Block sand it.
Yeah, I would say use the pads by 3M or Festool. They're called the Platin, Platin, and they're foam pads that you can sand with. They hook up to your Festool or Mirka. 3M also makes the Trizac pads that are incredible.
Yeah.
I switch to those when I get into polishing mode. Nothing's better than Trizac. Slater would
saves a lot of time. The Trizac saves a lot of time.
A lot of time. This kind of work isn't meant for everybody. And I tell people that buy the product from me and want to know about it, I'm like, this is single-handedly the most difficult thing I have ever tried to do in my life. And I'm a scratch golfer. And I'm telling you, it is harder than anything I've ever tried or attempted to do. Sanding with a block of wood. For what? The edges? I wouldn't recommend anything other than hand sanding, because you have the sensitivity to feel when you might be applying too much pressure. I mean, you just got to lightly float softly, over the edges. And
I would recommend your first job.
Sand through, you got to start over.
I would also recommend trying not to sell a high polished, flat paneled look on your first job.
Right.
We're doing this big wall, and it's a patina. There's a patina on there, and there's some texture. There's some character to it. Because for a number of reasons, that's what the designer wanted, but it also costs more money to do a truly flat, buffed out finish. If you want that takes me a lot more time, and I'm probably going to have to respray once. There's a good chance if we're talking about that. Plus, I was talking with the client. We're going to do some titanium on some steel beams on a project.
Ooh, titanium costs double all the other metals.
He was talking about doing these big titanium panels on the outside of his house. And he's a smart man. And the first thing he said, he's like, well, why wouldn't I just go get metal panels? And I was like, well, you should go get metal panels. Like, if you want us to recreate metal panels, you'll be much better off going and buying metal panels. That's not where this stuff shines.
Yeah.
it's the details. You want to build a hood out of MDF and have it do crazy things. I can now coat that, and you don't have to wait for whatever. You don't have to pay all that money, and you don't have to wait. You know, the lead time for decorative metal guys is absurd.
Yeah.
So I think there are advantages to it. Try to sell it with some character to it, and don't try to do big, flat, shiny panels your first time.
Yeah, I mean, Slater said he's a novice in the metal game. And a lot of people, he's got the respect of quite a few people that are in this. I think the potential in metal is creating texture and movement. I think the potential in metal is whatever you want it to be, honestly. But Slater said I consider him to be from what I've seen, a very knowledgeable and skilled artisan. And he said he's a novice with the metal. I still feel that way about the metal myself. I mean, I've only been doing it a few years. I've done a few projects, but I haven't done nearly as many as I would have liked to have done. And the ones I have done I've almost, given a few away just to show people what it looks like. You know what I mean? It costs about $10 to $12 a square foot by the time you get it imported over here. That's a going rate, $10 a square foot to buy the product, just the product,
Yeah, we're estimating at $100 plus a square foot.
That's what that's what you have to charge for.
You have to. It's
right.
But again, like you said, like I gave the first couple away.
It's not for everybody. So,
Plus, like I've spent thousands and thousands now on the training, on buying product, on testing it, on trying it ourselves, trying different sprayers. Like, if you want to do this, like it has a fairly high barrier to entry. It's not something you just like pick up and play with. When it's $1,000 a gallon, you end up with like, all right, I'm going to spray half a gallon today. There's $500 like down the drain.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow I've got a guy, like I said, that I'm meeting up with. I'm really excited. We're going to be playing around with some really cool MDF samples that I shared. I think it was my post 2 posts ago. You'll see them on a table, all kinds of crazy stuff. Brian Leonis out of Charleston. He's the owner of Datum Workshop, and he cuts the stuff out of MDF. I mean, he gave up a degree and a prolific career in architecture to go create this business, building stuff and designing stuff with this CNC machine. So this is an architect's mind creating these, and he can create panel designs, anything you can think of, he can cut into MDF. Then we put our finish on it. It's going to be, for me, unprecedented, the stuff that we're about to run into, start doing and put out there. So I would say definitely stay tuned and keep an eye out for what we're going to be doing in the ensuing months. This guy, I'll be posting about it tomorrow, but we're going to be doing stuff with molds where you create your own molds using silicone, flexible silicone dental molding. It basically turns into like a rubber, almost like a stamp material. You pour it onto any surface, it now dries, and now you've got a flexible mold. And you can stamp that into your wet liquid metal, or you could actually spray directly over that. What do you sand before spraying? What do I say?
180?
They recommend 120, 100 to 120 grit. You can do up to 240 sometimes. I don't like it too gritty, but I don't like it too smooth because I want to get some adhesion. They recommend a polyester primer for a polyester product. There's a Everbuild. What the hell is it called? Evercoat makes they make a high build primer. But I mean, I've done jobs. I'm gonna be honest. I put the solvent-based metal product right over Benjamin Moore's Aqualock or frickin' Kills.
We got a product from Ilva that we're using. It's a water-based primer that's been tested with all solvent-based 2-part products.
From who?
Ilva.
Ilva?
Ilva. ILVA. It's this product. This primer is amazing.
Is it cheap?
I don't know. I don't really look at the prices.
You're like, I don't even know what stuff costs anymore.
I have no idea.
I make too much money on it.
It's just like the cost of materials are not the limiting factor in what we do. It's so much labor.
No, I get it. The difference between $19 a gallon and $63 a gallon.
And the difference between using a 1-part water-based primer and a 2-part polyester, you know, I don't care if the polyester is cheaper. This stuff is making my life so much easier.
The polyester primer is way more expensive. I'm going to tell you that now. No, the polyester
and it's brutal stuff. The polyester is
$35 a gallon. The stuff that I'm talking about. It's a catalyzed 2-part polyester primer that's recommended by a lot of the companies because it can wrinkle like the invasive solvents. I would hate to be doing a hotel wall for $100,000 with $10,000 worth of metal and have that sucker just wrinkle right in the middle, you know, because the solvent burned through it. The Ilva sands insanely well. Yeah, Adam Birchfield on MDF. I would say definitely prime the MDF. Build it up, you know, maybe roll or spray 2 coats of primer on there, sanding in between, you know, and put your, one thing I can't tell you about spraying metal is you want to cross-link it. You do 1 coat in one direction and then in the next coat in another direction, right on top of each other. And that'll avoid, you're going to avoid getting blemish lines. If you just spray in one direction, okay, it's going to be a lot more likely that you're going to see those vertical lines blushing through. So cross-linking for me is huge. It helps, but liquid metals, you know, it's a beast. I mean, it's going to be something like that you're always trying to get better at.
We're going to be spraying this wall with an Airless actually, which is pretty crazy.
Really?
But we did some testing and
an Airless. Oh yeah, I saw that on your post.
Because I have a SATA jet with the 1.3. We have
the
a couple
1.3,
and it's.
Is that what do you like spraying metal with that?
I mean, yeah, but it's slow as molasses, and if you're talking about doing a giant wall, trying to keep a wet edge with that setup was going to be tough. And so with the Airless, we can apply a lot more coating a lot quicker, keeping a wet edge a lot better. And that's where we were hoping that we could get that because of the speed, and we were able to. So, you know, I'm hopeful that this wall is going to turn out really well.
How many square feet is it?
I don't know.
I mean, guess.
I would say it's probably 12 by 8, something like that.
Oh, it's 12 by 8 feet?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not that big.
No. But it's a lot of continuous square foot. Like, it's all continuous. And, you know, it comes out, over, and back in.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, it's just like if we can start on one side and just start spraying and keeping a wet edge and going around, it's a lot. It's nice. An Airless is going to put out a lot more product a lot faster than a 1.3 SATA gun.
Yeah, and when you say wet edge, you're concerned about it drying, and then you trying to work back into that in the oxidized part that has overspray on it or whatnot, trying to get that to blend in. You're concerned. That's what you're.
Yeah, because we were getting striping with not a heavy enough coat. We're doing just vertical passes, and without a heavy enough coat, you get the striping. But if you get
a super wet coat where you look across it and the whole thing's wet.
But with a cup gun, that's really hard to do because the cup gun just doesn't put out much product. You know, a 1.3 out of a gravity fed is, you know, you're not getting a thick mill build very fast at all.
Well, there's other ways around that. You can use a bigger tip.
Yeah.
You could use the 3M AccuSpray instead. Have you tried that?
Yeah, that's not a very good finish though.
Well,
we tried it, and it's the atomization. There's a lot more texture. You know, the SATA 1.3 lays it out like glass compared to the AccuSpray. We did I think we had a 1.8 AccuSpray, and it was much faster, but we sacrificed the smoothness, which then made a lot more work later.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got their preferences, and, you know, there are variables that can lead people to think that one product isn't good, and it could have just been another variable, you know, unless you've sprayed with a machine and a setup 10 times. I don't really think that you can really judge whether or not it's
And that's where it's testing. Like whatever.
I got a guy that uses nothing but 3M, and he's one of the best in the world. His stuff is like, you and I probably won't be on that level for 5 or 10 more years. He's that good. And he uses the 3M gun. So, you know, everybody's different. I can't tell anybody that they're doing it the wrong way. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, that's what we always talk about. It's like what works. Like you can't argue with what works.
Yeah,
you know, you can say anything you want, but if you get the results, that's all we're looking for.
Yeah. This person, Turner Painting, asked me what I'm using to spray the liquid metal. I've used the 3M AccuSpray. I personally like it. I got the SATA gun. You don't buy one of those unless you're serious about spraying, because it can hit your pocket.
It's worth it though.
They're German guns.
Oh
yeah.
Man.
I just bought one. I haven't used it before. So
the atomization,
I'm going to use that for the first time.
It's going to blow the AccuSpray out of the water. Wait.
The atomization?
It's night and day.
This also depends on what product you're using.
Plastic tip. A throwaway tip and air cap versus $1,000 spray gun. Like, it's just not fair to compare the two of them. And when you try it, I think you're going to see the first time you spray with a SATA is like, oh wow, like, this is nuts.
Yeah,
it's pretty phenomenal. I'm excited for you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've heard Iwata, Devil Bliss. I mean, I've heard all those are pretty good.
We love our DeVilbiss. They make it.
You guys are both insane. It's coming from another freaking crazy guy. What is your name? Slavic.
Oh, you gotta know Nick Slavic. He's a wonderful man.
What brush you guys use to cut? I don't cut in anymore. I have someone else do it.
All right, so we're coming down. We have about 15 minutes left. We have a few standard questions that we ask everybody. So let's get into those. Again, everyone, we can have you back to answer more stuff later. But what we kind of talked about it earlier, but like in a short sentence or two, like what is the biggest piece of business advice that you would give to somebody?
I would, in this business or any business?
Yeah, in this business.
In this business, I would say 2 things. Be authentic and develop your own identity. So do something that's going to make you stand out from the next painting company or the next decor painter or the next faux painter or the next plasterer. There's hundreds of everything, you know. Don't be afraid to go against the grain and do things the way you want to do it, and the way that, you know, find your road, you know. Go down your own road. Don't copy everybody else. Don't try to be someone else. Make your own path, you know. Don't be afraid to fail.
Love it.
You know?
All right. What's your favorite piece of paint paraphernalia? It could be a tool. It could be a product, a piece of equipment. What's your favorite piece of paraphernalia?
Man, I'm going to say right now it's my Nella trowels, to be completely honest. They've got a nice medium flex to them. And they make plaster just look so incredible. These are actually really intended for traditional plastering and like more like veneer plaster, drywall type plaster. My buddy Jonathan Mortillo with Plastercraft Diversified down in West Palm, he turned me on to them, and we've been using, I mean, I probably have 8 different kinds of trowels, different brands, and then probably 50 trowels altogether. So I spend entirely way too much on trowels that I only really use about 6 of them. So you buy a bunch of, love your plaster work. Thanks,
I know how that works.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it'd be the Nella trowels for now, and I got some Pavons. Maybe it's going to be my SATA spray gun tomorrow. We'll see.
Might change your game.
It probably will.
Okay, how about a piece of DIY painting or coating advice? So you guys do more decorative. If someone wants to do their own work or something like that.
How long can I talk about this DIY?
You got about 5 minutes because I have another question, the final question for you.
I could talk about this for 5 minutes.
At least, yeah. You have 5 to 6 minutes for this.
So here's the DIY thing, okay? I get so many. I did some things with a company called Roma Bio a few years ago where I made some videos. You know, I did it all on my own dime, and I was just promoting a company that I really believed in. And I did some. You could type on YouTube right now how to lime wash brick, and we'll be like one of the first videos. You could do that on Google, and we're going to be on the first page. And I promise you that. So that's been like a blessing and a nightmare for me at the same time, because it has cemented me as one of the kind of people that got ahead of this movement of lime washing brick and then wearing it away, you know, it's called antique lime wash. Every homeowner thinks they can do this with, it's just the product. It's just, if I buy the right product, I can do this too. And I still haven't figured out the most proper political way to say that not just the product, it's the hand that's applying it that makes the finish look this way. It's important to use this product because this product is designed to be able to, you have about an hour window where you can go back and wash it off. It's a slow cure lime that's designed, any other lime that brick is going to atomize and start calcifying like almost instantly. This, you know, knowledge and experience, exactly. You know, if you haven't done what I've done and you haven't walked in my shoes and you're not me, you're not going to be able to create the same look on that Pecky Cypress that I can do, even with the same products. And I hate to say that, but you're not going to be able to do it, you know? So I tell DIY people, you know, practice on something small, you know, maybe try a few bricks and then pressure wash them off. But I'm not going to publicly on Instagram answer every little question for you and give away all of my proprietary knowledge. And I hate that it has to be that way, but I was doing that in the beginning and I created so much competition that people just bullshit. It's the trades only. I've done 3 so far. Can't say I have not messed up a section. Well, good. Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's got their own journey, you know, but I encourage people to DIY stuff, but just, you know, have a realistic expectation of what you're going to be able to do. I consider myself a professional because I do this for a living, you know, so I've probably lime washed 50 or 70 houses, you know, and anyways, is there proprietary knowledge or is there experience? I don't know. I don't know if he's being serious about that question or not. I feel like he's a bit of a jokester. I mean, proprietary knowledge to me is knowledge that I have attained through blood, sweat, and tears, whatever you want to call it. I call it working wisdom.
Or experience is fair to say at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
you've done it.
Once that experience becomes knowledge, that, you know, there is a certain thing that goes wrong on every single brick lime wash job that most people can't figure out. That's so simple that if I told everybody about it, it would change the whole game. I mean, I'll say it. You want me to say it?
Yeah, man, that's what we're here for.
You got to paint from the bottom up. Okay?
Okay.
Not from the top down. If you go from the bottom up, the paint's going to dry from the bottom. That way, when you get done and you go to do the wash off, if you do it the other way, the whole bottom washes off. If you do the top first and then you go back, the last thing you painted was the bottom, right? So you go to do your wash off, that shit washes right off over and over again. So you got to paint it the other way. And I figured that out on my own, you know?
Yeah. I love it, man. But
what you were saying. So there's millions of
even with that piece of knowledge, you know, I think that our clients are hiring us because they want us and they want to know that it's going to get done and they're not taking a risk.
Yeah.
You have a body of work. You can give that piece of information away and feel okay because you have the body of work already, and your ideal client is not going to go hire a guy who's doing it for his first time.
Right.
I understand that, but I also understand the sensitivity to we put lots of time and effort, and we make a bunch of mistakes, and sometimes people want to just like shortcut the line.
Yeah, I'm not willing to give that away for free all the time. I'm just not. You know,
I know.
And I have
it's a very sensitive subject.
Yeah,
social media has made.
I don't owe that to the world at this point. You know, people feel like I owe that to you just because you're on my Instagram page asking me a question. No, I fought hard for that. And, you know, unless we're friends or you want to approach me the right way, you know, secretly, I might tell you. But anyway.
Those DMs that you get where they don't say hello, they
nothing.
Don't say anything. They just go, what sprayer, what tip, what pressure, how much did you think?
You. Yeah, I don't even answer those people.
You get them all the time. You're like, dude, not even a hello?
Right.
You just want me to give all of it away. Here's the formula. You go copy what I spent thousands and thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours trying to do.
Right.
And you don't even give me a hello first. Yeah, it's fascinating. All right, we have 5 minutes.
Hello.
This is my favorite question. I got debating on whether to preface. I should preface people with this. But I'm looking for you to tell me your most embarrassing moment in business, your biggest mistake you've made in this business. Our friend Nick Slavic here, actually, he holds the crown for the greatest answer for this question so far. He told us a story that he'd never told anyone before. And if you know Nick, this came as quite a shock to people, but everyone's human. And he had spilled some paint on a carpet and early in his career, and he couldn't get it out of the carpet, and he actually ended up moving a chair over the top of the carpet to cover it. Now, anyone that knows Nick, this is not align with the Nick that we all know today, but we all make mistakes. It's haunted him for years, and I love how open and honest he was. So I hope I've bought you some time to think deep. What is the most embarrassing moment that you have? I painted the wrong house one time.
What?
Yeah. Swear to God, painted the wrong house.
Man,
so the bar is high. We've had some pretty epic mistakes. What do you got for us?
Dude, I overthink things. I paint an entire house the wrong color. I would say that, man, I overthink things so much before I go to do my jobs. I write lists like twice or three times. It's like I don't make a lot of mistakes. I'd say that in the sampling world and I've made a lot of mistakes to get there. But I'm usually pretty good at covering them up on jobs before people notice them. I got to think pretty deep about this. I know one thing that I did was I was working with an art initiative for street art. And I'm talking some of the top street artists in the world. We're coming in Jacksonville with the Art Republic. It's similar to what goes down in Miami. What the hell is that week called where everybody's down there? Why can't I think of it now? All right. Anyways, down in Miami, they have this huge Art Basel. Art Basel is a huge thing in Miami, and the Art Republic.
Just for the record, you have 1 minute and 45 seconds. I don't want to.
Okay, yeah, they're doing the same thing here in Jacksonville. Something similar through a company called the Art Republic. I was priming walls. I volunteered to go out and do prep on these walls, which is something I would never do normally. But I wanted to get involved in these high-end graffiti artists and street art. So I was priming a 90-foot wall that flanked a parking garage, and I got overspray on like 6 floors of cars all the way down. And this is like primer. This is like freaking what kind of primer was it? It was some kind of Benjamin Moore primer that was freaking strong. I forget what it was, but this stuff is, I mean, I got overspray on probably 100 cars.
Now that's the goal I'm looking for.
Downtown Jacksonville. And I felt the freaking 90-foot, 80-foot boom lift that I was standing on the rails. I had to paint a 90-foot wall, fully articulated. It was moving around. It was a windy day. It was a total shit show. I mean, just crazy.
Yeah, I think you just stopped, Nick. You now hold the belt. You've got overspray on 100 cars. You now have the top spot, sir.
I completely forgot about that, too.
That's the beauty of this, because obviously you're here because you're an expert at what you do. You have a high bar. We have 15 seconds. I'm sorry. Again, I really appreciate you coming on here. This was awesome. Pound it. We'll do it again. Everybody go follow Artistic Finishes. This is going to sign off in 5 seconds. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
It's been a pleasure.
Take it easy.
All right, man.